right, everybody. Welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Mark. I was muted. Well, I was muted. Then I better go back to my sponsor. I said, welcome, everybody. It's MLB playoff day. Thank you, Mark. We're going to cover all 4 games of the – we're going to backtrack, but let's get to the sponsor. Hey, make sure you give Chapman Law a call, round 2. 415-613-9483, Chapman Law Group. Let them know NorCal Sports Network sent you. Again, Chapman Law Group for all your legal needs. All right, thanks to Mark Graves for letting me know I was muted. And let me get the band to stop playing here. I was saying Lou Marson should be joining us shortly. He was out tonight, and Dallas was busy today and didn't get a chance to see much of the ball game, so thought he would just check in. And I see Dallas there in the chat. Mark, thank you for having my back. Absolutely. And it was better the second time. There we go. All right, I'm wearing the Red Sox hat. You see, hey, man, they beat the Yankees. But first, we'll get into this Dodgers Reds game. You know, Hunter Green, you thought Hunter Green might give the Reds a shot at a first, game 1 upset, and the Dodger bats, man, they just showed up tonight. It didn't start out well at all. Shohei leads the game off in the bottom of the first with a home run, a scorching line drive over the right field fence, and then Teoscar hits a 3-run bomb in the 3rd inning, and it just kept getting worse after that. It was okay. Make sure I'm still not muted. Okay, good. I'm not muted, right? Everybody can hear me. So the Reds make a late push after the Dodgers lead 10-2 in the top of the 8th. The Reds are actually able to put across 3 runs and have the bases loaded with Noelvi Marte up, who's got some pop. And he, if he put one out of the yard, it would have been 10-9. Thanks, Philip. It would have been 10-9, and that would have been a ball game. But he struck out, chased Blake Trinan changeup, and made it, 10-5 going into the 9th. And but Shohei 2 home runs and Teoscar with 2 home runs, and I think it was Tommy Edman with the other. All in all, the Dodgers had was it 5 home runs tonight? Let me make sure I got that right. Hernandez hit 2, Ohtani hit 2, and Edman, yeah. So pretty much a powerhouse. And Blake Snell goes 7 innings, first 6 shut him out. Then they got, Reds came back with 2 in the seventh to make it a 8 to, at that time 6-2. Then the Dodgers put up 2 more in the bottom of the seventh, making it 8-2, or excuse me, 10-2. It was 8-0, and then made it 8-2. Then they put up 3, the Reds, in the top of the eighth, left the bases loaded, and that was your ball game right there. Did not think that Cincinnati would come back and score 5 to tie it in the bottom, or the top of the ninth, I should say. So Dodgers get game 1. They looked pretty tough. The starting pitching, man, they got Yamamoto going in game 2. And if needed, they got Shohei for game 3. I think, I think their bullpen, when they get into a series against Philadelphia, I think the Dodgers may be in trouble, because the 4-5 seed, that's the Cubs and the Padres, the winner of that game takes on the Brewers. And so the Dodgers are going to get the Phillies if they win this series, which they should. They should probably win it tomorrow night. But how this is kind of interesting to me is, I was thinking about this. What's better for the Phillies? Phillies taking on the Dodgers in a 5-game series or a 7-game series? And I'm not so sure, because a 5-game series, you might be able to hide your bullpen a little bit more, which LA struggles with. They've had to put Kershaw in there and Sasaki. Or, a 7-game, like I said, exposes the bullpen more. But a 5-game, I think the Phillies, if they can get, somehow get the first 2 in Philly, that would be something, because Philly's got good pitching too. They've got Ranger Suarez and Christopher Sanchez, a couple of lefties, which I think a couple lefties going against the Dodgers lineup could be a neutralizer. Look how many lefties are in the Dodgers lineup: Ohtani, Freeman, and Muncy, and Edman. That's 4. Okay. That's pretty much half their lineup. So their righties, of course, would be Betts and Hernandez, maybe Rojas and Pajes. And I said Hernandez meaning Teoscar. You also might have Enrique Hernandez in there. So we'll see where this thing ends up going. But I'm kind of looking at Philly and the Dodgers, and I would love to see the Phillies take it to them. And I think the Phillies can give them a run. I really do. Especially if, I guess the Dodgers would go with Glasnow in a game 4 in a 5-game set, because your first guy, game 1, is going to pitch game 5. So game 1 is Saturday, folks, in Philly. Tonight's Tuesday. So Snell's not going to be available game 1. Wait, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah. I guess they're going to have to go Glasnow game 1. And then they would go Snell game 2. And then they would go Yamamoto game 3. And game 4 would be, I'm assuming, would be Ohtani in a series. And game 5 would have to go back to Glasnow if you want to give 4 days rest. So interesting how that could play out. Of course, Cincinnati, you're talking, this is a short series. Cincinnati could win tomorrow, and you never know. Hey, baseball, I said, is a very funny game, right? Think about baseball this way, guys. The Tigers in Cleveland today played, and we'll get to that game. But Tigers, I said, could just turn around and beat Cleveland because they blew the lead and lost a couple of series late in the year and to blow the division and give Cleveland the division. But watch Detroit get them back, and we see how this works. Now, Cincinnati was up 2-0 on the Giants in 2012, remember? and they lost 3 in a row. So that was their last playoff appearance, 2012. In fact, they put a little graphic up on TV tonight that mentioned Reds playoff wins since 2013 versus the Dodgers. I can't even remember what the Dodgers number was, but I want to say in the 60s, but I can't remember. But the Reds was goose egg, right? Goose egg, 0. And then you had after the Reds blowing it to the Giants, what happens if the Reds lose like tonight and then they come back and win a series after being facing, just needing to win one more to advance? Maybe they turn it around. Who knows? But of course they don't have the talent to beat the. I shouldn't say, Adrian, you shouldn't say they don't have the talent to beat the Dodgers. They don't have the talent to match up with the Dodgers, but anything can happen in a short series. My goodness, you can have an injury or two to key players and they're knocked out. And, you lose Ohtani, you lose Freeman to a freak injury. You never know. Anything can happen in a short series. I would not just hang it up on that. So but I do think the Dodgers are definitely the more obvious talented team. Hold on one sec here, guys. I just cleared my throat. Okay. Excuse me. All right. So, but all in all, a pretty good ball game as far as the first 3. Tonight's game, not so good. We'll take a quick little peek at tonight's box score and just give you a rundown on that. And here's the box score for tonight. Cincinnati, they had only 5 hits tonight. De La Cruz was 2 for 3. Stewart, who came in and got an RBI. But, De La Cruz was the big guy tonight. Spencer Steer. And De La Cruz, was 0 for 3. I'm looking at the wrong column. 2 RBIs, but only, no hits. McLean got 2, and I looked at the wrong column again. The Reds actually had 7 hits to 5. I don't even know how the Reds made the playoffs, to be honest. I really don't. This was the year the Giants had a total opportunity. But you look at the Dodgers, Ohtani, 2 for 5, 3 RBIs. Betts, 2 for 4. Freeman, 2 for 4. Muncy was 0 for 4, but Teoscar, 3 for 5. Edman, 1 for 3. Enrique Hernandez, Mr. Playoff, shows up, 2 for 3. 1 for 1 call, and Rorbit, 1 for 3. 15 hits the Dodgers pounded out tonight. Just really taking apart their ace from Los Angeles, Hunter Green. He was really bad tonight. Went 3 innings, gave up 6 hits, 5 earned runs, a few blasts, and that was it. He did not look good tonight. So that was pretty much this ball game. 10-5, not much to really get excited about. Dodgers, Reds. So I think I agree, Christopher. Dodger bullpen has issues. Kevin says, go Red Sox, screw the Yankees. Absolutely. We're going to be pulling for the Red Sox. Senior, he throws out the Reds are horrible. I don't know how they got there, man. I really don't. Such a down year for the Giants. For the National League, and the Giants somehow couldn't get in. You think about that, the Giants not being able to get in with 3 wild cards, and they still couldn't get in. And we'll talk a little Giants baseball tonight. We'll talk a little bit about the managerial search that going on, and we'll see where this thing ends up. But you know, the earlier games were really good and entertaining to watch, guys. I really enjoyed the earlier games, the 6 o'clock, or not the 6 o'clock game, but I guess it was around 3:30, roughly our time today, in that neighborhood. The Yankees, Red Sox. Yankees, Red Sox game was, typical playoff baseball, right? It was 1-0 Yankees all the way till the seventh, and Boston puts across two runs in the top of the seventh. And how the Red Sox were able to do that. Max Fried was pitching great. Inning started innocently. Duran grounds out to first for 1 out. Then they take out Fried and they bring in Luke Weaver. And here comes the trouble. Immediately he walks Rafaela, and then Sogard doubled to right, Rafael to third, second and third with 1 out, and Yoshida singles to center. Rafael and Sogard scored. It's all of a sudden 2-1 for the Red Sox. And then, of course, their strikeout king, Fernando Cruz, comes in, strikes out Trevor Story, walks Bregman, and then Lowe lined out to right. Innings over, 2-1. Yankees don't score. And then in the top of the ninth, the Red Sox add an insurance run on a Bregman double down the left field line after 2 were out. Story singled to left with 2 out, and then Bregman, that dead pull hitter he is, doubles down the left field line, scoring Trevor Story 3-1. And then in the bottom of the ninth is when it got really interesting, guys. The Yankees started the inning off with 3 straight hits. Aroldis Chapman comes in, 3 hits in 5 pitches. Only 5 pitches, their bases are loaded. And then Chapman settles down, and the Yankees are not able to get anything. Similar to Giants baseball, right? Bases loaded, nobody out, and they can't get it done. Why? Because Giancarlo Stanton struck out. Chisholm flied out to right, medium depth, but solid arm out there in right field. I can't remember who was out there playing right field, but he, not going to take a chance to be the final out of the game, or I should say the second out of the game. No, that would have been the final out had he tagged and got thrown out. And then Grisham struck out swinging kind of foolishly on an high and inside pitch. And that was your ball game. Yankees go down to the Red Sox 3-1. And Yankees in ninth look like the Giants. Exactly. Yep. Got to make contact. Instead of just trying to crush the ball like Stanton was trying to win it all, be the hero. When you play hero ball, guess what happens? You either come up the hero or the goat, because when you're trying to crush it, you're either going to get a hold of one or you're going to strike out. And all you needed there was to keep the line moving. You were down 2 with nobody out. At least get a sac fly, get a productive out there. And Stanton strikes out. Yes, Jill says nobody but Aroldis Chapman or Chappie could get out of that mess. The right fielder was Gold. Oh yeah, Willie Abreu. That's right. Willie Abreu. Yeah, he's got a really good arm. The throw is a little offline, up the line toward third base, but you still can't take that chance in that situation. So that was a really good game. All the first 3 games were all about the playoff baseball. I mean, low scoring, tight games, pitching matchups, really good pitching. And then, of course, we talked about it. The Dodger bats were just too much tonight. Yeah. And, pulling up that box score just for looking at it with the Yankees and the Red Sox. Let me pull up that box score for you guys, because one of the things I want to point out in here is, Aaron Judge has been tremendous throughout his career, maybe the best player in the game the last 5 years, right? Well, tonight he showed up a little bit more. He was 2 for 4 tonight, Aaron Judge, which they've been waiting for playoff Aaron Judge to show up. No power though, no RBIs, just couple of singles. Volpe was the guy tonight with the power for them. The only run scored was a solo shot by Anthony Volpe, and he did that in the bottom of the second. Not enough, obviously. The bullpen for the Yankees couldn't hold it. Red Sox pull it off, and Yoshida, the guy comes through. Yoshida is been a pretty good hitter for the Red Sox this year. So is Trevor Story and Alex Bregman. Both of those guys come through. Playoff Bregman hurts the Yankees again, right? So tomorrow we're going to go back at it again. I think all the games might be at the same time, I believe. I haven't even checked that schedule. Let me look at that playoff schedule for tomorrow and give you guys Wednesday. Yeah, exact same schedule tomorrow, guys. All the same times, 10 o'clock, 12, 3 o'clock, and 6 o'clock. Same bat channels, same bat time, everything's same order. So baseball trying to get the Dodgers in the prime time. And then, on the East Coast, they're getting the Yankees, Red Sox in prime time, 6 o'clock start back there. Everybody in that Boston, New York area getting all off work and being able to watch those games. And then, of course, the Dodgers late for the West Coast and the Dodgers. And, that was a pretty good safety squeeze by Detroit with, was that McKinstry? Was that McKinstry that laid that bunt down? Or McKinstry, I should say, not McKinstry, McKinstry. Trying to remember. I was watching it, but beautiful bunt. Man, you thought Cleveland. Let's get to that Cleveland game, guys. First, let's get to that. We're going backwards. We're going to cover the Chicago Padre game. That Chicago Padre game was a very low-scoring affair, just like the first, another 3-1 game. We had 2 3-1 games and a 2-run game. In that Chicago game, it was the Padres that got on the board first, right? And they were able to hold that 1-run lead till I believe it was the 5th inning. Let me pull that game up here. Padres and the Cubs in Chicago. And yes, it was 1-0 San Diego. Pivetta was pitching a gem all the way through 4. And in the 5th inning, Seiya Suzuki gets a hold of one, hits it pretty well into left center, making it a 1-1 game with a blast. And then the next batter, Carson Kelly, back-to-back home runs, 2-1. And that was enough for the Cubs. But the Cubbies added an insurance run in the bottom of the 8th. In that bottom of the 8th inning, the Cubs were able to push a run across. And how they did that, Dansby Swanson led off with a single, then small ball. Matt Shaw sacrificed him over to second. They intentionally walked Michael Busch, making it first and second. And then Estrada pitching, he throws a wild pitch, moving them over, the runners over to second and third. Swanson moves to third. And I'm not sure if it was just third. Yeah, Shaw was sacrificed out, so he was out. So Swanson was on second. He gets moved over to third, and then Nico Horner hits a sacrifice fly, bringing home Swanson, as he dives head first slide, makes it 3-1, and that was your ball game. The Padres, just their bats were pretty silent today. And you look at the Padres lineup today, it was not a lot of noise. Fernando Tatis was 0 for 4. I believe he had a couple of he had one strikeout. Yeah, the last one he took looking. Arias, batting second, was 0 for 4, and Machado 0 for 3. So the top three of their lineup, 0 for 11. Jackson Merrill got a hit. They only had 4 all day as a team. Xander Bogaerts got 2 of them. He was 2 for 4. And then the other hit went to Freddie Fermin, the catcher, and that was it. Only 4 hits, and the Padres don't strike out much, and they didn't strike out a lot today. Only 6 strikeouts for them. And on the Cubs side, Nico Hoerner they only had 6 hits, 2 for 4. Nico Hoerner, Suzuki, the big blast, and Carson Kelly, a big blast, but that was their only hits of the day. A lot of strikeouts for the Cubs, 13 strikeouts, and yet they get it done with a 3-1 win. Tomorrow, interesting, of these first 3 games, Cleveland. We'll cover that Cleveland Tiger game. That was a masterpiece today by Tariq Skubal. 14 strikeouts by Tariq Skubal today. Absolutely incredible performance. 14 strikeouts in 7 2/3. Only gave up 3 hits, 1 earned run. And the Tigers were able to push the second run across. That came late. That came in the 7th inning. And how that 7th inning went down, it was pretty amazing because, this is the time of year you're playing small ball, right? And in that 7th inning for the Tigers with Williams still on the mound, Riley Green started off the inning doubling to right. And then Perez hit a ball off the first baseman, Noel. It ricocheted over to second. They had time to get him. They threw the ball to Noel, the second baseman, Rocchio, and it was in plenty of time to get him. But Rocchio, or I should say Noel, missed the bag. When he went over to cover first base, he overstepped the bag and it slipped off and his foot went behind the bag. That allowed the runner to be safe at first and third now. So it was hold on here. I just got a text here. Okay. So you got first and third now with nobody out, and they gave Noel an error on that. But Gaddis looked like he might get out of it after striking out the catcher Dingler of Detroit. But then McKinstry hits a sac bunt, a safety squeeze. Wasn't the suicide squeeze where the runner for third was breaking on the windup, but he bunted it so beautifully they had no chance at the plate, threw him out at first, and then Baez grounded out to short, 2-1. Now, it remained 2-1 until the bottom of the ninth. And this is where it got very, very exciting. If you were watching this game, it was pretty incredible. Leading off the inning was none other than Jose Ramirez, the all-world third baseman for Cleveland. He hits a nice line shot on the ground short, kind of on the second, toward the second base side of short, not toward third. Baez gets a diving stop and then doesn't get to his feet, kind of throws it from his knees, and he probably had a little bit more time to get up and maybe throw out Ramirez, but he throws a ball that's a strike to first baseman Torkelson, but it's in the dirt. And Torkelson extends for the ball, and he doesn't come up with it cleanly, and it gets away from him and goes down the right field line. Without hesitation, Ramirez sees it and takes off and ends up at third base. And I want to point something out to you guys. This is a huge difference between the fundamentals of a pro like Ramirez and a guy like Elliot Ramos. As I'm watching Ramirez run and I'm watching the replay, he is flying to second. As he's approaching third, well, halfway to second, he looks over his shoulder and kind of sees where the ball is, and knowing he can get to third, but he doesn't just go. He looks over at his third base coach, if you watch it, and he just doesn't stop. He sees his third base coach, waving him on, and he goes into third standing up. Nobody out. And you're thinking, okay, Detroit's going to blow it again as they did the last month of the season, just giving away like a 12 and a half, 13 game lead over Cleveland. They choked it and gave away the division. Now, man on third, nobody out, and they pinch hit a guy by the name of Valera, and Valera, left-handed batter, strikes out against Will Vest. And you're thinking, oh, man, now you got Manzardo up, and Manzardo hits a comebacker that was a one-hopper that was kind of high, and Ramirez took off on contact, and Vest was able to snag the ball kind of up over his head. I can't remember if he had to jump much, maybe a small jump, but he gets the ball, comes down with it, and sees Ramirez halfway between home and third. And he does exactly what you're taught to do. He runs straight at Ramirez and kind of forces Ramirez. He gets a little bit he runs in front of Ramirez, but gets on the home plate side of Ramirez so that Ramirez, if he runs into him, he just gets tagged out. Ramirez tries to get in a rundown and runs back toward third, and Vest tags him out. And the runner is not able to advance the batter to get to second because it happened so quickly. Now you got two out and nobody on third, but just your runner on first base in Manzardo, who Sheeman ran for Manzardo, and then Kefis came up, hit for Arias, and he hit a pop-up to shortstop Javi Baez. Game over. Detroit wins game one. And now you've got game twos tomorrow, and the pitching matchup in that Detroit game is Casey Mize, former number one overall pick, against Tanner Bybee. And that should be a pretty good matchup there, too. Obviously, Cleveland must win. The beautiful thing for Cleveland is they win. They got game three at home again. They don't have to, get the first two and then win and then go on the road. So these home teams were victorious today in two of the games, and the other two were the road teams. So the beauty of this new setup, in fact, chat, how do you guys like this new setup? Do you like the 3-game format or the old format on a wild card where it was just one and done? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I personally like this 3-game format and allowing the one game, you play 162 in one playoff game, it's all over. That feels a little rough, but I like the 3 games where the higher seed gets all 3 games. You get them over in 3 days. There's no travel day, and we get the other games that will be going on the division round will start up on Saturday. So any team that wins this first wild card round in 2 games, pretty good setup, because then they get 2 days off. They get Thursday and Friday off before they have to travel, unless they're they will be. All of these teams will be traveling in the division series to open up the division series, because they're 3, 4, 5, and 6 seeds, and they will be going. The winners will face the 1 and 2 seeds. 3 divisions with 1 wild card. NorCal Sports Talk Live says was the best format. Yeah, that's the last time the Giants were in the playoffs. Before the 21 season, it was the 2016 season where the Giants were the wild card and went in and beat the Mets on that Connor Gillespie extra inning home run that Mad Bum pitched. That was phenomenal. That was fun to watch. Very exciting, that one game. Yeah, there is some pretty cool in those one game. In 21, I can't remember. Was there 2 wild cards in 21? I think there were. I think they allowed 5 teams in at that point. Was there 2 wild cards in 21? The Dodgers were 1. Let's see. There was 3 division winners. And was it only 1 wild card? Can you guys help me remember? I remember the Giants had a bye. The Dodgers beat St. Louis in a 1-game playoff. Yes, the Cardinals. They faced the Cardinals, right? So the Dodgers beat the Cardinals in a close game. I was pulling for the Cardinals in that game, but But then the Dodgers win, and they come up, and in a 5-game series, split the first 2 with the Buster Posey home run, which would have been, if you recall, would have been the first ball from a right-handed batter to go into McCovey Cove, but it hit that brick tower that was up. It hit it. That was going into the water, and so Elliot Ramos gets that distinction. NorCal Sports Talk Live says, I'm talking about the 1 wild card that immediately gets into the National League Division Series. Oh, pre-2012. Okay. Yeah, you're talking like 2010 when the Giants faced Atlanta in the first round. The Giants won the division in 10. I think Atlanta was Atlanta the wild card, and Philadelphia was the winner of the division in 2010, I think. Pretty sure that's how it worked, if I recall. And the other game was it St. Louis and Philadelphia? Wasn't it St. Louis, Philadelphia in 2010? And then Giants, Braves? Trying to remember. I think that was the setup. Yeah. Let me look that up. I'm curious now. You got me interested. 2010 MLB playoffs bracket. Okay. Yes, it was. It started off. Wait a minute. I said 2010, not 2000. Don't give me 15, Google. Okay, so yes, it was the Phillies were the National League champs. Giants were National League West, or Phillies East, West. The Reds were the Central, and the Braves were the wild card. Okay, so it was Phillies, Cincinnati that faced off, and the Phillies won that series 3-0. Giants beat the Braves 3-1, and then that year American League, it was Texas was the 3 seed. They beat the 1 seed Tampa Bay 3-2, and the Yankees were the 4 seed, the wild card. They beat Minnesota 3-0. And then Texas beat the Yankees. That would have been something to see the Giants-Yankees rematch. But yep. The Braves second baseman handed us a couple games. Yeah, that sure did. I do remember that second baseman. That game was over, I believe, would have been game 3, maybe, where the Giants were going to lose that game, I believe. And they scored in the 9th inning to tie or take the lead. I'm trying to remember all that. But yeah. So that was everything with your playoff structure then. But now you have lots of hold on one sec, guys. Okay. Had to do something there for my son. So it's pretty interesting what you have with all of the different brackets and different rounds. But we'll definitely be here for the playoffs. We got a lot of things going here on NorCal Sports Network this week, guys. Thursday night, you've got the 49ers taking on the Rams in LA at SoFi Stadium. So we'll have some coverage with that. I'll be on the Krug Show after that game. We may have some baseball games to talk about, which would be preempted by any National Football League with the 49ers. But you've got that today. If for basketball fans, the Golden State Warriors signed Jonathan Kuminga, and we'll be doing some basketball. We'll be doing a lot of basketball, guys. We'll be doing a lot of Golden State Warriors basketball this year. We are NorCal Sports Network, not just a baseball channel, although I like to think of us probably as the number one Giants channel when it comes to fan interaction in the chat. I think we've got the best chat out there. We've got the most knowledgeable fans of baseball out there coming on, joining us, and really appreciate that. We've got Red Sox fans in here and Jill Argos. We've got people from Indiana joining us, Truth Wilkie, and we've got people, Hutch from Murfreesboro, Tennessee pops in. We've got Robert Rothberg from New York. We got people from all around the country, even around the globe, watching us. And so we love having you all. Jill, I'm representing you tonight. I got your team on. I thought, you know what? I'll put a little blue on. I'll put the matching hat on. You'll never see me put a Dodger hat on. Can't do it unless there's a lot of money on the line for me to take somebody wants to give me. You know what? I will put Dodger hats on. I'm not afraid to admit it. If a Dodger fan wants to put maybe $500 chat in there and wants to see me wear a Dodger hat for 1 minute, I'll put a hat on for a $500 super chat. I guess I'm saying I can be bought. That's borderline blasphemy though, but it's hey, everybody knows my feelings for the Dodgers. But I try to be objective here. I try to be an objective host and tell you how I see things. I think the Dodgers have the inside track to win it all again with their pitching, and they've got the bats. Last year, they won it all with hardly any pitching. I think they had one starter. This year, they've got 4 quality starters, and that's all you need in the playoffs. You need 4 because of the day offs. You don't need a 5th starter in the playoffs. So if you stay healthy, you can get through 4. Brewers, love to put a Brewers hat on. I'll tell you who I'm pulling for. If I look at the World Series, I'd like to see a team like Cleveland that hasn't won since I can't remember. Definitely, Detroit's won 1 or 2 in my lifetime. They won in 1984. I think that's the last time Detroit won it, was Sparky Anderson, 84. Let me think. 84 was Tigers. The Giants beat them in 12. Trying to think, did the Tigers win it the White Sox won it like in 06 or something? Trying to think. Mark Graves wants Torkelson from his hometown, Petaluma, and hometown, the only high school, I believe, in Petaluma, wants Torque to get a ring. I could see that. That's kind of something to root for, your hometown kid. I wanted Torque as a Giant all offseason. If you guys recall, I thought the Giants made a huge mistake in not going after Spencer Torkelson. So Matthew tells us, hey, there's another one. Matthew from Atlanta, Georgia area. See, we got people from all over saying the Tigers definitely haven't won it since 84. Yeah. Seattle's a team that's not even ever been in the World Series, guys. Seattle Mariners, I believe, are the only franchise in baseball. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. I don't think anybody in baseball but Seattle, I think they're the only franchise that has not made it to a World Series. Can anybody else? Even Colorado made it in 2007 and got swept by Jill's Red Sox. Anybody? So Seattle, we know Jill's going for the Red Sox. We've got Mark Gravy Train Graves pulling for the Tigers and Spencer Torkelson. We've got our you got to pick a team when you're you don't have a foot in the dance, so to speak, and the Giants have let us down so much. You got Seattle and Toronto with the byes. Toronto the 1 seed, Seattle the 2. I kind of like to see maybe Seattle. I guess my first choice would be Seattle. And then my second choice, how about Cleveland? I kind of want to see Boston in a way if the other two don't get in. Why do I say Boston from the American League? Just because of what they did, trading Devers and getting rid of what they thought was kind of a problem for them, and just going with these younger kids. They had 3 rookies kind of come up and all contribute this year. And, that would be good. Cleveland, of course, they haven't won it in, I think, when is the last time? Hey, wait, let's ask Siri. Hey, Siri, when's the last time the Cleveland Indians won the World Series? Hey, Siri, when's the last time the Cleveland Indians won the World Series? 1948. 1948 it's been since Cleveland. Okay. I thought it was 48. I remember 54, the New York Giants beat the Cleveland Indians. That was the Vic Wirtz blast that, the Say Hey Kid. Let's see if I can duplicate it. Here it comes. Look out, Buster. I got to get my ear things out or I'll pull it out. Here we go. Here's Willie Mays. Whoops. I got to try that again, guys. I hit the computer. Hold on. Here it is. The blast from Vic Wirtz. How was that? How was that reenactment? Not too bad? Not too bad. I don't have any sound tonight because I have nobody to talk to. I thought Lou went to a movie and it went a little late, so he was not able to make it in. But you know, did you guys like that Willie Mays over the shoulder catch? Computer one, Dan nothing, Joe Schmo. Yeah, it got me the first time. You moved the camera. Did you get the second one, Beto? Did you get the second one? Did the second one do well? Do we have to do it again? Come on, I gotta go. You're going on the IL after that, Aaron says. I got to get the kid back in me. I got to do it again. There's the wall. Here it goes, guys. There we go. There we go. You know what I need? I need a I need a big yard to do my show in, where I can actually go back out there and play ball again. You know, I'm 64, but I really think if I was out there, if I got my arm loose, I really think I could go out on the mound and throw out the first pitch and throw a strike without having it be a stupid arcing moon ball. I think I can throw it pretty safe, you know, I think I would throw a two-seamer. I have more control over the two-seamer. I would throw the two-seamer, you know, just straight. The four-seamer, that might get a little off. Just throw it straight two-seam. I don't want to say a fastball because I don't think it would be that fast these days, but I do think I can get it pretty over the plate. So, put a tape square up on the fence. Believe it or not, guys, I put square on my tape. I used to use tape on our garage growing up as a kid, and I would go out there and throw a tennis ball off the garage and just, you know, I had two older brothers, but if they were not around, I was outside playing catch by myself, throwing pop-ups, you know, as high as I could throw them, getting under them. I'd practice throwing as many pop-ups as I could. I'd play a real game, and I would play outs, and, you know, I tried to get 27 straight outs by throwing pop-ups, making sure I didn't miss any. Because some of them, I just threw them up as high as I could, and sometimes you had to run because they weren't straight up above me. They were, 20, 30, 40 feet down the street. And I guess I'm kind of lucky I didn't get run over as a kid, because the neighborhood I grew up in, it was kind of funny because I grew up did you guys ever, the streets where I live in Arizona are pretty flat in the neighborhood, but where I grew up in Concord, the streets were crowned. And so you had the middle was straight, and then it kind of crowned for the water, I guess, to go to each side or whatever. They never wanted it. So it's a little crooked, a little bit not flat. And so you were kind of running downhill a little bit. Of course, the Bay Area is a lot more hilly than it is here in Arizona. Arizona's pretty flat in the desert here. Now you get up into parts of like Prescott up there and Flagstaff, you got a lot more hills and stuff like that. But yeah, I miss those days playing ball, playing with my brothers and my friends, just going out there and throwing the ball around. Um, you know, it's funny. Um, I have one of those rubber balls. It's about the size of a regular baseball, right? Um, but it's a rubberized ball, and the rubberized ball. If you got your interior door that is goes to your garage door is a fire door, and so your front door is kind of hollow. Your front doors, they're wood, but they're hollow. The garage door to here, they're solid. And so one of my houses, it was just me and Buster, right? It was before marrying my wife. And so I was just kind of a bachelor, and it was Buster and me. And I would take that rubber ball and I would just fire it strikes down the hall. And I had my glove and I just fired it against that door. And it was a lot of fun because I was practicing my, infield skills. They were coming at me hard, and it's one of those bouncing balls that, is really hard and so I was, getting in front of him and trying to, catch him. And that's how I entertain myself sometimes, some nights. Just grow. I don't know about you guys in the chat. I didn't grow up in an era of a lot of movies, entertainment. We had 2 or 3 TV channels. That's all we got. And we had those rabbit ears, right? And you had UHF channel, which I don't even know what UHF stands for, if anybody remembers that. So I didn't grow up with a lot of media, which when I look back, I kind of like that because I had a really fun childhood. I was outside playing every sport, even a few hockey games where we played street hockey in the gym. But it was baseball in baseball season, basketball in basketball season, and football in the winter. And we just played all the time. And so consequently, I still like to play a lot of games, ball, actually play it, not video games, get on the video screen and play it. I like, I don't move as well, obviously, anymore, hip and all that. Yeah, ultra high frequency. That's hilarious. That was nothing but snow, Anthony. There was no high frequency to that whatsoever. I was channel 44. I remember growing up. That was the one UHF channel we got in the Bay Area. And we got channel 2 with the Giants and Gary Park. I think we had channel 7, which was KGO, and channel 5 with Wayne Walker. 2, 5, and 7, and maybe 11, if I remember. That might have come in at times, but 2, 5, and 7 were the main channels. And then UHF was like 44. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't even remember what that 2 was. But yeah, Jill says, me too. Field hockey terror it was. Lover basketball, too short, and softball. Yeah, it's awesome. When you grow up and you're outside. Now, Jill, are you back east? I lived in Connecticut for 7 years. I lived really close to Massachusetts. I was on the state line. In fact, I was the state line ran through my property. I was in an area of Connecticut called the Notch. Connecticut went straight out. In fact, it's pretty wild because I had my house sat uh, in Connecticut, but my backyard was in Massachusetts. Pretty wild. Pretty wild. In fact, this is a little story about the Notch. They had a notch. The Notch, Connecticut, refers to the Southwick Jog, a small, approximately 2.5 square mile area where Massachusetts border dips into Connecticut along their northern boundary, a few miles north of Granby, Connecticut. I lived in North Granby, Connecticut. This irregularity originated from the disputed land surveys in the 17th and 18th centuries. In 1804, a compromise was reached where Connecticut effectively partitioned the Congamon Lakes to Massachusetts, which resulted in the Notch as a concession for losing other border towns to Massachusetts. And let me see if they have anything on the Notch, if they have a picture of it. But it was pretty wild. Yeah, let me see, what was my address? 10 Eastwood Drive. Yeah, 10 Eastwood Drive. Check this out, guys. This is pretty wild. I had 6 acres. This is where I used to live, right here. That house is sitting in Connecticut, but you can see the state line. This little area right here is my driveway, and my house sat right here, and I had this part of the area, and then I had horse property that went back into here, and I had all this area back there. It was pretty crazy, but yeah. So I lived there for 7 years in Connecticut. Loved it. Jill says she lived in Massachusetts all my life till 10 years ago, born in New Britain. Oh, New Britain. Yes. I've got many clients. They're probably, most of them have passed on, but I used to work in New Britain area. Lots of people from Poland in New Britain. Lots of Polish people settled in New Britain. And my third and fourth child were born at Hartford Hospital in Hartford, Connecticut. So that's pretty cool. Born in New Britain. Armenian. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I've had an interesting adult life, guys. My story actually is kind of interesting in that, I don't know, interesting maybe to me, maybe not to anybody else, but grew up and lived in Concord, born and raised, one house. From the time I was 18, I think I left when I was 19 to go to college in San Diego. And my first year of college, I went to Los Medanos Community College, where I played football there, and I was the kicker on the football team. We were a pretty decent football team. But then after a year of that and realizing that I felt like football had taken me as far as I was going to be able to go, my hope was that I was going to get a scholarship out of high school, but I got no offers. And then my first year at Los Medanos didn't have the best season kicking wise. And I just said, you know what? I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go to San Diego. Went to San Diego and then ended up living in Southern California from 1982 all the way till 97, 15 years, with the 2 years in Bakersfield, not quite Southern California, but 95 to 97 went to Bakersfield. And then I got I got recruited by a healthcare company for their management, and I went back to Connecticut, and I first lived in Avon, Connecticut, and then I had a quick little jaunt to New Orleans for about 7-8 months, because my job in Connecticut, the government, we lost money. The government stopped paying us, and so that job was kind of not doing too good. And so I went to Louisiana and absolutely hated it. Absolutely hated living in the South. I don't know why. It was just, New Orleans was weird. It was like there was still the Civil War going on. I would tell people, "Oh, where are you from?" I say Connecticut, and they just were like, "You're like the devil. You came from the North." And I was like, and it happened over and over and over again. So I said, people started saying, "Where are you from?" I started saying California, and I got treated differently. But man, you tell people you're from a Yankee area, they hated you. And I'll tell you some other things about the South that was just weird for me, because I used to go in people's homes, right? And for selling. And man, people in the South, the deep South there, the backwoods, I was seeing like David Duke signs. I was seeing Confederate flags hanging in people's yards, and I'd have to go up to their houses. And man, these people were backwards thinking. These people were really messed up. And I was like, get me out of this place. I mean, I was like, you got to be kidding me. And and then I'd go into New Orleans and I'd go some work there, and it was like complete opposite. There was mostly African American, but they didn't like the whites, a lot of them. And then you go up further north, get away from the city, and they were so racist. It was just awful. And I was like, man, there was a couple times I just feared for my life being in some of these homes. One time, this is weird. It was weird, true story. I'm in this guy's house, and I just had a very uncomfortable feeling, right? And I've been in sales a long time, and this guy was positioning me at a portion of the table where I was blocked off. And he was a weird dude, and I was getting like strange vibes, like I got to get myself out of here. And I'm selling Medicare, right? Medicare supplements to these guys. And this guy, and what was that? The year 2000, so 25 years ago. I was like 39, right? Yeah, 39. So I see him messing around with something. Like, is he getting a needle? Like, is he gonna like poke me and put me to sleep or something? And it was weird. And I just got myself out of there quick before he could do anything. I just grabbed my little carry-on briefcase that I had, and I got myself out of that house. And I was like, man, he was one of those guys. He reminded me of one of those Jeffrey Dahmer type guys. I was like, am I going to be in this guy's freezer? So I got myself out of there, and I got myself back to Connecticut. I was there 6 or 7 months, and I says, I'm going back to Connecticut, man. I'm going back where people are normal. Yeah. Now, this isn't all of the South, mind you. I know that there are parts of the South that are much nicer, but when you get into the sticks and weeds of parts of Louisiana, at least my experience, Weirdos, man. Freaking weirdos. You had some real nice people, of course. There's always nice people there, but there's some backwoods weird stuff down there. So I'm like, I'm going back to Connecticut. And then after 7 years in 2004, we packed up and moved closer to family, and which was California, but we came to Arizona. So Arizona's been home for me since 2004 with a brief 14-month excursion during COVID. I got myself out of Arizona because I couldn't get locked up, and I went and built a log cabin up in north central Idaho, and loved it up there. But I had to work still more and come back here to Arizona, where my kids are. All my kids here and grandkids are here, right here in Arizona. So other than June through September, guys, I love it here. June through September is hot, but you know what? You got indoor baseball with the Diamondbacks you can go watch. You can go pretty much to any out to restaurants. You could go to the malls. Everything's air conditioned. Your car's air conditioned. The only negative for me when it comes to the heat in Arizona is if you got to work in it. And fortunately, I don't work outdoors. And so for 4 months of the year, I spend more time inside, go out at night, we'll go out to restaurants or whatever. And then right now, tomorrow, October 1st, we're entering into a beautiful time of Arizona. I mean, we're in the 90s. We might hit 100 tomorrow, but soon we're going to be in the 80s. And yeah, come on down to Arizona. If you're thinking of getting out of California because you don't like the way things are going there or the cost of living, Arizona is a really nice place because you got everything you'd want. You got major sports, you got football, you got basketball, you got baseball, you got college sports, you've got lots of activities, you got a lot, and there's so much you can do outdoors between the months of October really through mid-May, even into the end of May. It's and when they say it's a dry heat, it really is a dry heat. There's no humidity except for maybe we get 20, 30 days at the most a year of humidity, maybe 20. I don't know. When we had the monsoons, which we just kind of went through, you get some humidity, but man, it's nice. Dom says the Suns and Cardinals don't count as professional sports. That might be right, Dom. Look, it's kind of I've never got behind the Cardinals, although in the 2008 Super Bowl when they were playing the Steelers with Kurt Warner, I was rooting for the Cardinals. I really like Kurt Warner, and I thought the underdog, that would have been pretty cool. Flagstaff is very nice, Christopher. Yeah. Oh, Mark says he's been here 6 years, haven't seen a snake yet. Granted, I don't go hiking. Yeah, I've only seen a couple snakes, guys. One was on my back porch. The first 2 weeks we moved in, we were doing landscaping. They brought in a bunch of dirt, and I'm not sure if that snake was in the dirt or what, but that was freaky. That was a rattler. And then had at one of my other houses, I was kind of more desert and had a rattler on my driveway and pushed it out off the driveway so it got into the dirt that was off my driveway and took my it's called the Judge. The gun is called a Judge. It's a revolver that will shoot snake shot. And it took care of that. Took care of that rather nicely. That snake. A lot of people say, "Hey, why'd you do that?" Well, you know what? I'm not a fan of rattlesnakes, and I didn't want it coming back. So I got kids. It's at that time I had smaller kids that were younger. It's like I don't need snakes in my yard. So yeah, you got to fence proof your block wall that had little portholes in it for water. So I had to put screens on all of those to keep snakes out of my yard. Yeah, but fortunately haven't seen too many snakes. I hate snakes. It's one of my phobias, I guess. So uh, yeah, exactly. Cool to look at, but only on my TV screens. Yeah, exactly. When I was a kid, I used to have. Do you remember the encyclopedia? Did anybody have the Encyclopedia Britannica? We had all of them. A, B, C, D. A couple of them had 2 or 3 letters. I can't remember which ones they were. If it was like VU, W, or whatever. Anyway, the Encyclopedia Britannica. Whenever, even as an adult, when I went back to my mom's house, I'd pull out that S for snakes, and it was all those pages had, you could see that I had worn them out. It's pretty interesting. But used to love the Encyclopedia Britannica. That was the education. You'd read everything in there. But yeah, so but cool, guys. Hey, great to share some stuff with you. We had some fun with baseball. We'll do it again tomorrow night. Hopefully, Lou or Dallas will be able to join the show, and we'll talk more baseball. We'll talk a little bit about Giants. I'll leave you with this on the Giants. I think we're hearing possibility of Bruce Bochy, now that he's gone. I could see a Bruce Bochy, Nick Hundley. Nick Hundley has worked for Bruce Bochy in Texas. I could see a double hire where the Giants hire Bochy as the manager for 1 year or 2 years, and that they say Nick Hundley is going to take over. I could see that possibility. I could see Nick Hundley by himself. I could see a Skip Schumacher, however you say it, Schumacher, who was great with the Marlins, got them to the playoffs in 23. Mark DeRosa, possibility. I did hear in talking to Bora the other night that he didn't care for Mark DeRosa because he said that DeRosa likes the home run ball and likes the new style of baseball, is okay with all the strikeouts, and believes the home run ball. He likes it. I'm not so sure if that is a fit for Buster, because we've seen how that home run strikeout works for the Giants, and I don't think that's a good fit. So if that is Mark DeRosa's philosophy, I'm not sure he would be getting the job with Buster. Like Ben says, I love Yadier Molina. Pujols, I think, is going to be the manager. I think he's being named the manager of the Angels. That's the rumors. So I don't think Pujols will be the manager. Yadier would be a great manager for the Giants, and I would, if I got Yadier Molina as the manager, I'd sign him to a 5-year deal. Yeah, he's one of the most prepared guys you'll ever find. He prepared as a catcher like crazy. Great catcher and smart. So Aaron says, just go get your guy. Yeah. So that would rule out Bochy. And I don't really think Bochy should be the right guy. I think somebody younger. Some people are talking about this Tennessee guy, throwing his name around. Tennessee Volunteers, Tony Vitello. Really young, exciting guy that gets all hyped up. Not going to, running into the stands in Tennessee, jumping in like, like he's a Green Bay Packer doing the Lambeau leap. Yeah, pretty. He's pretty hyper. I don't think Stephen Vogt is going to leave Cleveland, is my guess. NorCal Sports Talk Live says this is Vitello country. Yeah, bring in the Italian. Yeah, bring him in. Love the passion. Smart guy, too. Very smart guy. So Cleveland has got Vogt signed through next year, says hope springs eternal. So we'll see where this goes. Probably start doing some videos, guys, on each managerial candidate that we think might be a candidate. And going to be on the lookout. If we have time, we'll try to get some of those done. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see who the Giants get. It'll be fun to see who the interviews are. I'm not for Mark Hallberg, just simply I don't want to see the Giants stay in-house. You know, hey, think about it. Giants did go outside before. Bruce Bochy was never a Giant. Tim Flannery came in, third base coach, 3 World Series titles. You know, you can get some stuff from outside organizations too. So, but let me get the music going here. I'll be silent for a bit because I can't talk over the music. Okay, give me about 10, 15 seconds. All right, everybody. Fun night talking to you. A little sports talk, a little bit of geography talk. My treks around the United States and some of my experiences in people's homes down in Louisiana. Pretty wild. Wow. Yeah. Nightmarish moments I went through. But live to tell about it, right? So appreciate it, Philip. Thanks for those words, guys. We'll be right back here tomorrow night about the same time, 9 o'clock, 9:15, with more Major League Baseball wrap, and hopefully we'll get some more stuff out on the Giants. There's some good things coming there. Thanks, Beto. You guys keep it right here at NorCal Sports Network. And remember, we're going to be covering Warriors basketball, 49ers football, so we got you covered. And make sure you give this a like on your way out. All right? Take care, everybody. Have a good night.